everybody. Welcome to our cloud session here about building resiliency and removing some complexity, which I think is probably on everybody's mind as we're trying to figure out where, from our production workloads to our disaster recovery, how to make things as streamlined as possible. We've asked Eric Dominguez from Summit to give this presentation to you. Summit's a very trusted partner of ours. We've helped many clients in their journey here. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Eric.
All right. What's going on, guys? First off, let me congratulate you on choosing wisely. This is definitely going to be the best presentation occupying the post-lunch spot here at the C3 Tech Summit, so you've chosen well. Today's talk, I'm going to keep it pretty informal. I think that you'll find me to be not a very polished speaker, but hopefully somebody informed and maybe can offer some of you some ideas that you can take back with you and employ in your day-to-day lives. The first part of the presentation is going to be a sales pitch, right? I'm gonna earn my paycheck and make the marketing team happy by telling you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and then on the second end of the presentation, we're going to get into a couple of what I think are really exciting topics that are trending in the world of cloud and infrastructure. At any point, please feel free to stop me. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just start shouting out. Most of the times it's booze, but if you have a question or a comment or you disagree with me, even better, please pipe up. I would love very much for you guys to engage, and together maybe we'll learn something. So at Summit, and we're going to get into who we are as a company in a second, but at Summit, we believe that there's two truths about technology. Number one, that it's mission critical, right? None of us would be here. We wouldn't be in this room. We wouldn't be thinking about this stuff if it wasn't mission critical for our business, right? In 2025, every single company is a technology company. It doesn't matter if you make shoes or if you make software. At the heart of it all, we're technology companies, every single company, right? If we're offline, we're not making money. If the infrastructure crashes, our back-end systems aren't working. People don't get paid. And in worst case scenarios, people get hurt or worse, right? Think about healthcare, think about government, so on and so forth. So technology and infrastructure is mission critical. And number two, every mission needs a crew. And quite frankly, IT organizations are stretched thin. I don't think that any one of us in this room thinks that we have a fully staffed IT team, right? If we had a fully staffed IT team, we could accomplish all of those dusty projects that are sitting on the shelf. We don't have that. In today's world, IT teams are stretched very thin. Every issue that pops up means that something, some go-forward initiative isn't getting completed. Looking to outsource some of your technology, some of your infrastructure, outsourcing the things that you don't want to do or the skills that you don't want to develop is crucial and is the way that we're going to all press forward together. And that's really where Summit comes in. So this slide here talks about our core services. From the root of what we do, we're a data center provider. Space, power, cooling in locations all across the globe. Everything that we do emanates out of the data center. From that, we build cloud services, infrastructure as a service, private clouds, managed Kubernetes, infrastructure. So think of compute storage and network platforms to run your infrastructure on. We handle those things. We're a huge network provider, so I know that a lot of you don't know who Summit is and you haven't heard of who we are in the past. Maybe you heard about who we used to be several years ago. We were a different company. We were called Server Central. We were based in Chicago, and we grew into a larger organization that eventually became Summit. But along the way, we built a tremendous capacity and competence around network. So every single day that you are using your computing devices, you are transiting our network. I promise you that. You're streaming 4K video, you're engaging with your banking institutions, you're using your health insurance platforms, things like that. A lot of those are transiting on our networks. So whether you think you're a customer of ours or not, you are likely using our platforms and you're transiting our network. So on top of all those things, we provide a host of managed services. Managed services in the data center realm. These are firewalls, this is DDoS mitigation, it's storage platforms like managed object storage, which we'll talk a little bit more about moving forward. So think like Amazon S3 if we know what that is. And then we also do a bunch of specialized solutions as well. We do a bunch of app hosting. We're one of the largest, if not the largest, QuickBooks hoster in the world. I know it sounds strange, but we are. We have thousands of clients running QuickBooks, Sage, Act, other applications. We build custom application hosting solutions. So if anybody needs any application hosting, look no further. We do a ton of VDI and DAS, and we do AI hosting. Find us later, or one of the many team members that we have here. This whole front row is all Summit folks. Wave your hands. There you go. AI hosting. I know we all want to talk about AI, and we have a really unique perspective on hosting AI workloads. So come find us and chat about that a little bit later. One of the really cool things that we've been doing lately is Mac hosting. I know that sounds weird. Like, what do you mean Mac hosting? But if you think about it, think about all the apps in your iPhone, right? All of the development, all the QA, all the test dev, all of that stuff has to happen on an iOS type device or a Mac type device. So in order to do all of that work, you need access to Mac devices. And so we host thousands of Macs in our data centers. So you will walk into one of our data centers and you will just see an endless array of Mac minis in racks running. And that's a newer product line for us, and it's really cool stuff. So chat with us if you're interested in Mac hosting at all. And then to wrap it all up, migration. We do physical migrations. We have migrated literally thousands of cabinets in data centers from one data center to another, or from on-prem locations to data centers. And we also do virtual migrations as well. So one of the most common things that we do is to help ingest workloads from whatever infrastructure you guys are running today into our own data centers and infrastructure sets. So as again I mentioned, we're at our core a data center provider. We exist in all of these locations, over 20 data center metro areas around the globe. So we're in all of the major population densities and internet peering points. And you've heard of some of these before. Chicago, major internet peering point. Ashburn, Virginia, the Bay Area, Amsterdam, Sydney, Tokyo, so on and so forth. But we also have access to hundreds of other data centers where we also have infrastructure in very far-flung places across the globe. And that's something that's certainly unique to us. So I told you a little bit about the services that we provide. Real quick, 100% SLA. Again, we view infrastructure as mission critical. If you're down, you're not making money, you're out of business. We think that it's crucial. I think the most important stat on this slide is that 8.5 years of customer retention. We do a good job, right? We don't lose customers. I myself, I've been with this company for almost 21 years now, right? So not only do we keep our customers, we keep our employees. Most of our employees are long-term, and that's because we do a good job and people want to stay with us. They want to stay with us to work. They want to stay with us as clients, and being a mission-critical organization, we do a really great job there. Just a real quick overview here of our stack. you're going to recognize all these names, so we don't use any, bottom of the bucket type infrastructure. Everything that we do is absolutely top notch. We're huge partners with Veeam. So one of the most common entry points that we find with our clients is for backup and disaster recovery. This is not a talk about backup and disaster recovery, but I think each of you who runs IT for your organization knows that you can never have enough backup. You can never, have a solid enough DR plan. And organizations like ours, we specialize in helping our clients to fill out those DR plans, make sure that you have the right backup, and I think most importantly is have a plan to rehydrate those backups when and if you should ever declare a disaster, which I hope that never happens to anybody here in this room, but every single day of the week, 365 days a year, we have a client who's having their worst day in their entire career, and we focus very specifically on helping those folks to recover from whatever happens to them. And if you ever want to, hear some crazy stories about weird stuff that you never thought in a million years was going to happen to a set of infrastructure, come find us, and we've got some really, really hilarious stories that you never want to find yourself in those situations. It's pretty cool stuff. Anybody have any questions? Anybody inspired to speak up yet? Nobody? All right, I promise you're going to. It's going to be cool. So we focus on business outcomes, right? So everybody wants to hear about cost savings and performance enhancement. These are the things that we focus on, right? Infrastructure at its core isn't sexy, right? We know that. It's not the most exciting thing going on in the business. But to my point before, it's absolutely mission critical. And when we start having conversations about your infrastructure, all of these outcomes bubble up to the top, and we focus very closely on all of them. And one of the ways that we do that is with solving problems in this particular space. This is a customer of ours, the Georgia Department of Health. These guys had a significant problem with their disaster recovery. They didn't have it. They had a poor backup system. They had no ability to rehydrate their data in case that they had a disaster. Enter our services. We run on Zerto. You saw that a couple slides back. They're now a very referenceable client for ours. We love it. I don't love this slide. This is the one I want to talk about. So, raise your hands if you've heard of 37 Signals before. Nobody? All right. So the story goes, there's a guy named David Heinemeier Hansson. He is a very outspoken tech leader. You should all go and read his blog on hey.com. The 37 Signals blog, very cool blog. This is not related to Summit in any way, so you should know that we didn't pay him for any of this. This is all referenceable that you can go and view outside in the world. So, how about Ruby on Rails? Anybody here know what Ruby on Rails is? Great. So DHH, David Heinemeier Hansson, he goes by DHH, he and his business partner, they wrote Ruby on Rails. And from there, they formed a company called 37 Signals. They've got a great product. It's called Basecamp. It's really cool. You should check them out. But in any case, they came to us, this is probably 13, 14 years ago now. And they started off in the data center space with us, and they had one cabinet. Their company grew. And over time, they turned into a very influential tech company based in Chicago. And one day, they called us up, and they said, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, we love you, but you guys are dinosaurs. The data center is dead. We're moving to AWS, and best of luck to you, but it's probably game over for you guys. And we shed a tear, and we were very sad, and they left, and they went away. About 18 months later, the phone rings again, and lo and behold, it's DHH, right? This really important, influential guy that we're very sad to lose. And he goes, guys, boy, were we wrong. And not only were we wrong, and we're going to do something to fix this, but we're going to go out to the world and we're going to tell everybody that we were wrong, and we're going to hope to help other companies from making the same mistakes that we did. So what they realized after running their infrastructure in AWS for 18 months was that the promise of the hyperscale cloud just never came true for them. And this is a company built on running infrastructure. This is a company whose entire existence is based on running VMs and running code as a service and running software on platforms. They couldn't make it work. They could not make the numbers work. They couldn't make their infrastructure do what it needed to do in a cost-effective manner. And so they said, what can you guys do? And so we helped to repatriate those workloads back into Summit Systems. And you can go and read this blog, and I hope that you do. And when they first wrote the blog, I think it was called The Reason Why We're Leaving the Cloud. And they've updated it like 3 or 4 times. And the first time that they wrote the article, the first pass of it, I believe said that they planned to save something like $5 million over 7 years, right? A good amount of money. Any one of us would be happy to save, $5 million over 7 years, right? For our businesses, right? Imagine being able to go, hey, boss, guess what I did for you today? I just saved you $5 million over 7 years. You get an attaboy, pat on the shoulder, you get to keep your job, you get to keep fighting another day. Well, the very latest update that we have from them, and I think it's here, is that the latest update, no joke, they expect to save $10 million over 5 years, right? This is just by continually tuning those applications, continuing to find those efficiencies, in infrastructure, all using Summit, all working with our teams directly. And they're highly vocal about the fact that not all workloads belong in the hyperscale cloud. And that's something that we focus on very closely. So we would love to talk to you a little bit more about this. We've got a great case study on this. It's, in fact, again, the shameless plug, it's probably our most popular piece of marketing material. Our IT engineers, our CISOs, our VPs of IT love to read this case study because it's very detailed. It tells you exactly how a real world company did a move like this and how they're able to save the money that they were able to save. So raise your hand if you have heard the term cloud repatriation before. About half the room-ish. So repatriation is a drum that I have been beating to death for about 18 months now, and every single day that I wake up, the snowball has rolled a little bit further down the hill. It's become a little bit larger. So when I first started talking about this, it was a tiny little snowflake at the top of the mountain. Now we're about halfway down the hill, and it is a giant, massive boulder that is only continuing to gain steam. So at its core is the word repatriation. You'll be forgiven if you've never heard this word before, but if you move away from the U.S., if you move to Europe, you are an expat, right? We've all heard that term before. And then if you move back to the United States, you have been repatriated to the United States. So it's just an English word, and that's what it means, to come back to where you're from. So in cloud repatriation, it's really not that complicated. It basically means that 7-8 years ago, when before COVID times, when AWS and Azure were just coming online and everybody was going nuts for it, if you opened up the pages of CIO Quarterly magazine, it basically told you if you're not moving all of your workloads into AWS today, your peers are going past you, right? You're going to get left in the dirt. So you better put all of your workloads into AWS now. And you would have been in good company if you were doing that at the time. However, what happened past COVID is that nobody did the second part. We all did the first part, which is to pick up those workloads and forklift migrate them into these cloud platforms, right? What didn't we do? We didn't refactor them. We didn't replatform them. We didn't tune these applications to take advantage of all the tool sets provided in those environments that make the cloud the cool thing that it is. And I'm not saying that AWS is bad. I'm quite the opposite. I think it's an amazing tool. if you use it properly. But none of us in this room, nobody, has done this properly. And this is true with basically every set of infrastructure out there. Every once in a while, we get a call from some company that goes, hey, we were looking to optimize our cloud spend. Can you help? And we take a look, and they're running infrastructure as code, and they're using auto-scaling devices, and they're using all of the nerd knobs that are built into these platforms that make them so awesome. And to them, we say, congratulations, you win cloud, right? I can't help you. But those are few and far between. Mostly what people call in and say is, hey, we forklift migrated a bunch of Windows servers running VMware into AWS. Everything's expensive and it sucks. What can you do? And to them, we say, buckle up. There's a lot of things that we can do. So, aside from talking to you about the services that Summit offers, I hope that I can point you towards a couple of external sources, and it's something that I've been focusing on a lot this year. I think that there's only so much that somebody like me, somebody who works for a company and is paid to promote my own company, can really tell you. But at the end of the day, I think that external sources say a lot more, and that's why I focus on the David Hennemeyer Hansen, the DHH blogs, just because we had nothing to do with those. You can read about what they've done, and you can go and apply that same methodology to your other service providers. But I think getting that information from the source is really powerful. And to that end, this is a quote, my favorite quote, from a really great blog post. And for anybody that runs any type of infrastructure in a hyperscale environment, I love to point them to this blog post here. This is from Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz is a very popular, large VC firm based in Silicon Valley. They've invested into a lot of companies that you've heard of, and they've made a ton of money over the last 15 years, right? In tech, big tech, companies that you know. So a couple other analysts put together this blog. It's called The Cost of Cloud, a $1 Trillion Paradox. It's a great read. You should go read it. It's a little dense, but for anybody who runs infrastructure, you're going to find it to be illuminating. It's really cool. And so this quote comes from there. It basically says, you're crazy if you don't start in the cloud. You're crazy if you stay on it. AWS, Azure, GCP, all those cloud, hyperscale clouds, they're fantastic for rapid prototyping, for test dev, for stealth launch, right? You got the next big app idea, and talk to us later about some of our large clients who started off life, a couple guys in a garage with an idea in their head for an app, launch that app on AWS, and then what happens when they go GA and all of a sudden they've got 1 million DAUs, daily active users, their costs skyrocket. And so what do you do at that point? I think that that's a great inflection point for you to think about potentially repatriating those workloads. So definitely check that out. So, anybody inspired yet? Question, comment, disagreement? Anybody? Aaron? Nobody? All right. I'm uninspiring today. That's fine. So, cloud repatriation trends. So from the Forbes survey, 94% of companies utilize cloud today. We don't have to ask for a show of hands. I know that you have AWS accounts. I know that you have Azure accounts. I know that you're running infrastructure in those platforms. That's fine. That's cool. From the Barclays CIO surveys from the beginning of this year, 86% of those CIOs surveyed, it's 500 CIOs or something like that, 86% of them plan to repatriate some of those workloads this year, within this calendar year. That number is holding steady and it's increasing. Most of our large things that we're working on as a business today have to do with picking up workloads that are running in AWS, Azure, GCP, and moving them to some other form of infrastructure, whatever that might be. And from Flexera, which in some ways is a competitor of ours, they estimate, and this is a fantastic number, can you imagine the number here? They estimate that 32% of all hyperscale spend is wasted. 32% of every dollar that you spend is a dead workload, is something that the company is not utilizing. We had a client about, I don't know, a year ago. They came to us and they had something like 2,000 VMs running in AWS. And they said, hey, we don't think we're running as efficiently as we could. We've got 2,000 VMs running. And we said, all right, well, let's take a look. What we ended up finding out was that 1,200 of those VMs were zombies. 1,200 of those VMs that they were paying for, minute after minute, month after month, year after year, were zombied workloads that some developer, was developing code in, stopped using it, never turned it down, and the company was still being billed for it. That's just right off the top. And so why would you do that? Talk to people like us. Talk to Summit, and we can help you figure that stuff out. So I'm not going to go into this. We have an entire deck based on repatriation and our framework, but we can walk our clients hand in hand from the beginning, right? We think that we might be running inefficiently in the cloud. Could you potentially help? And we can walk clients all the way through to the end, which is steady state operation of some new form of infrastructure, which likely runs significantly more efficiently, more cost effectively, and more performantly than it was running before. It's interesting because what we find out, and what it's hard to really talk about at the front end of these conversations, is not only is it more cost effective, but it oftentimes runs better too, right? So it's way cheaper and runs better. You almost never get, both ends of that. As somebody, as IT professionals, we know that's a hard thing to achieve, but yet it happens every day with cloud repatriation. So what I would like everybody here to do is to send an email. You can write an email. Just enter a subject. You can write Eric Sucks, whatever you want, presentation@summithq.com. Later on today, for anybody who sends this email, we're going to pick somebody at random. We've got a great prize. It's a sweet Nike gift card for a couple $100, and we're going to be handing it out live here at the show. So if you win, we're going to email you back and say, hey, stop by our booth. You'll get your gift card right here today. Also, what you're going to get is this presentation and a couple of other sweet things that we have. You're going to get that 37 Signals case study. It should just auto respond to you with that stuff. It's a great read. I recommend that you go and read that $1 Trillion Paradox. If you are running infrastructure for your company, go and read that $1 Trillion Paradox blog. And then if you would be so kind, email me back and let me know what you think of it. I think it's a fantastic read. We got a question here? Yeah, so the question is, what are some key indicators that make it evident that a company is ripe for repatriation? There are a few things. Number one, I always talk about inflection points. I think that at any inflection point in a company is a great time to examine what you're doing from an infrastructure perspective. Inflection points can be any number of things. It can be a small company turning into a medium-sized company. It can be a medium-sized company turning into an enterprise. It could be an M&A activity. Maybe you're buying another company or you're being bought by a larger company. It could be the company deciding that you're going to do a digital transformation project, right? So 2026 comes around, guess what? We're going to automate some of these old processes. We're going to join the digital age and make some advancements. All of those inflection points within a business are a great opportunity to take a look at what you're doing with infrastructure, to consolidate, to outsource some of that stuff. I love to say that we're filling gaps, right? We're here to make IT professionals' lives easier. And one of the ways that we do that is just by doing the banal, boring stuff that you guys don't want to do, right? Nobody wants to think about backups. Nobody wants to live and die by their DR plan. No, we can do all that stuff for our clients. The other, I think, more exciting answer to that question about workloads that are ripe for repatriation, there are a couple places, easy places to look, and this is where we always look first. Number one, are you using a bunch of object storage? So do you use a ton of Amazon S3? Do we have any S3 users in the room? Got a couple of S3 users. S3 is, quite frankly, the most expensive thing you can buy from Amazon. So I think I got a couple of minutes, so I'll bore you with a quick story. How much time do I have, by the way? 2 minutes? Real quick story. So S3 is the second oldest product set that Amazon sells, right? When they first rolled it out, and still to this day, it was always meant as what's called nearline storage, right? And, you guys are IT pros, you know what nearline storage is, right? It's not production storage, and it's not Glacier, and it's somewhere in the middle, right? It's meant to be used occasionally, but not all the time. But what happens when you hand the keys of anything off to your developers? They go, sweet, storage, and they just instantly put it into production day one. And about, I would imagine in my head, I imagine in some AWS conference room, somebody going, hey boss, just so you know, they're using S3 wrong, right? And they put it into production. We're serving billions of thumbnails to websites every day. It was never meant to do that. And they're using it like crazy. And I would imagine some boss at Amazon going, never speak of this again. Because it's quite frankly the most profitable thing that they sell. Because every single bit that egresses from that network is just a hand on the till, just ringing the cash register. The bandwidth costs alone are exorbitant within the Amazon network. So object storage, S3 storage is like the first place that we look, because we run an S3 compatible object storage platform, meaning that it uses the same exact S3 API with all the same calls. And we don't charge for egress, zero. So just right there, right at the top, there's 30-50% savings sometimes based on that usage. Another place to look is steady state workloads. I know it's boring, but it's true. You got some Wintel workload that just churns and does the same thing 24/7, 365. How is that ever going to be cheaper in the cloud? Remember, the cloud is more efficient because you get to spin things up and spin things down and auto-tune your applications. If it's just a thing that's running 24/7, that was never going to be cheaper. Third thing, and what I'll leave you with, is GPU, right? Every AI workload, that we're all talking about incessantly all day long, and I know that you're having these conversations, all these AI workloads run on GPU. GPU is crazy expensive to buy from an AWS or a GCP. So if you're running AI workloads, run them somewhere else. Run them with Summit. Do anything else rather than run them in a hyperscale cloud. So I really do thank all of you for spending a little bit of time with us. I hope that you learned a little bit about cloud repatriation. I hope that you all emailed presentation@summithq.com. One of you will be lucky and win a sweet gift card. And please don't forget to stop by our booth, scan the passport thing, and have a conversation with one of our teammates. Thank you very much.